After the intense battle in the fourth act, the much-anticipated triple crossover finally arrived. It's Spider-Man: No Way Home. The story picks up right after Spider-Man: Far From Home, where Mysterio, defeated by Parker, releases a video smearing Spider-Man, which goes viral. He also reveals Spider-Man's identity as Peter Parker through the Daily Bugle. Now, everyone knows Spider-Man is Peter Parker. Fake video turns Mysterio into a hero who saved the world, while Spider-Man becomes a murderer. With the media adding fuel to the fire, Spider-Man is labeled as a public enemy and a threat. The clueless public believes Mysterio is the good guy, and even Parker's girlfriend gets caught in the mess. In the crowd, the two can't defend themselves. Parker has to swing away with his girlfriend. As a superhero, having his identity exposed means facing unknown dangers. They then head to a high place. Parker gets a call from his buddy Ned. They know things are bad. The city is full of onlookers and media, so they swing back to Parker's. Parker quickly shuts all the windows. The news reports the situation. May learn the truth. Mysterio's video puts Parker in the spotlight, and news helicopters hover outside, broadcasting live. Even at night, the crowd and media are still shouting outside. Jonah Jameson, the Daily Bugle's boss and Spider-Man's biggest critic, exaggerates the story, destroying Parker's hero image. Angry citizens throw at him, calling him a murderer. As things worsen, the government decides to reopen the London incident investigation. Soon, the Department of Damage Control comes knocking, accusing them of being the culprits behind the London attack. Aunt May, Ned, and MJ are interrogated at the police station. Stark Industries becomes key investigation target. Parker wants to explain that Director Fury can testify, but he's told Fury has been off Earth for over a year, leaving Parker confused. Aunt May, knowing the law well, understands the Department of Damage Control has no right to arrest them. They don't reveal any information to the agents and insist on seeing a lawyer. Parker's name: Aunt May hires Matt Murdock, New York's best blind lawyer. With just one call, he gets all charges against Parker dropped. Everyone finally breathes a sigh of relief. Lawyer Matt says although the charges are dropped. But in terms of public opinion, it's not that easy. As soon as the words were spoken, a brick flew in from outside the window. However, this lawyer's identity is not to be underestimated. He is the famous Daredevil. To avoid frequent harassment, Parker and May had to move to a secret place arranged by Happy. There are many Stark Industries machines here. Since Tony's death, the loyal Happy naturally became CEO of Stark Industries. Afterward, the three of them returned to school. Although they were cleared of charges, they are still the focus of media attention. The school was already surrounded and impenetrable. They split into supporters and opponents, causing great trouble for the three. But over time, they could only hide on the rooftop for peace. To continue their friendship, they all applied to MIT. But due to Spider-Man's growing controversy, all three were rejected by MIT. Seeing his friends affected, Parker fell into deep self-blame. Fortunately, this didn't affect their friendship. Just when Parker was at a loss, looked up and saw the dessert shop's decorations. Then, he thought of Dr. Strange, who might be able to help. Soon, Parker arrived at the New York sanctum. He found it full of chicken blood. Then, Wong walked in through a portal. At that moment, Dr. Strange also slowly flew in from above. Because of Thanos' snap, Strange disappeared for 5 years, during which Wong took as Sorcerer Supreme. Due to Wong's oversight, the portal connecting to Siberia had issues, causing snow to blow into the sanctum. After a brief catch-up, Parker told Strange about Mysterio exposing him. He hoped Strange could travel back in time to stop it all. Strange told him that to save countless lives had already altered the stability of time and space. Should he repeat the mistake now? Besides, even if he wanted to help, Strange doesn't have the time now. Hearing this, Parker could only prepare to leave in disappointment. At this moment, Wong's words reminded Strange of another method to try. Although time travel is impossible, there's a spell called the Kafka forgetting spell that make people forget Parker is Spider-Man. Wong repeatedly warned that this spell is very dangerous, but the soft-hearted Strange decided to help Parker. Little did he know, this decision would bring him unmanageable trouble. The two went to the basement, and Strange immediately activated the magic circle. After adding the magic potion, the forgetting spell was successfully activated. But when Parker heard that would forget he is Spider-Man, he quickly asked Strange if his girlfriend could be spared. Strange didn't respond. Nonsense. The spell was rewritten immediately. Who knew Parker would say his friend Ned couldn't be forgotten either? The doctor had no choice but to rewrite the spell again. But as he was about to continue, Parker remembered May and Happy. This back and forth completely disrupted the doctor's concentration, causing the spell to go out of control. Seeing the space-time rifts appearing, the doctor used all his strength to seal the spell. Although a disaster was averted, the spell definitely failed. What the doctor didn't expect was that Parker hadn't even tried to talk to the school before coming to him to brainwash the world. This made the doctor instantly angry, and he promptly kicked Parker out of the sanctum. Parker immediately called his classmate. He offered to swing them to class for 2. In exchange for the MIT vice principal's information. Learning the principal was heading to the airport, Parker donned his suit and rushed over. Finally, Parker found the principal on the bridge and tried to persuade him to reconsider Ned and MJ's applications. But before he could finish speaking, his spider sense suddenly kicked in. Seeing the bridge being damaged, Parker quickly switched to battle mode. In the next second, several tentacles emerged from under the bridge, and their owner was none other than the original Dr. Octopus. After years, who would have thought Dr. Octopus would miraculously come back to life and arrive in the third Spider-Man's universe? But he mistakenly thought the third was the first. Then he grabbed cars from both sides and hurled them. Parker couldn't dodge in time and was flung off the bridge, holding onto a. He quickly used his web to catch the car, then opened the door to rescue a family of 3 inside. At this moment, the doctor suddenly ambushed Parker, grabbing his head and throwing him 100 meters away. The tight-suited Parker activated kill mode, and the two engaged in a tentacle battle. As they were locked in combat, Parker heard the principal's cries for help. Just as Parker about to save the principal, the doctor's tentacle grabbed him and pushed him toward the helicopter behind him. Just as he was about to be decapitated, Parker used his web to pull the doctor and then kicked free of the restraint. But as soon as he reached the ground, the doctor grabbed a concrete pipe and started attacking Parker wildly. Parker barely stabilized the principal's car when the doctor caught up. Grabbed him again. He tore off the nanosuit from Parker's chest, and the nanotechnology merged with the tentacles. Just as he was about to finish Parker off, Parker transferred the nanomaterials from his helmet to his chest, saving his life. At this point, the doctor realized that Parker in front of him wasn't the Spider-Man he knew. During their conversation, the doctor's tentacles suddenly went out of control. Because the tentacles absorbed nanomaterials, Parker gained control over them and used them to save the principal. And they gave the 3 another chance to re-enroll. I thought the crisis was over, but then I saw the familiar pumpkin bomb. Yes, it was the Green Goblin. He appeared from the smoke on his glider. The 2 who had died were now in this timeline. Just as the Green Goblin charged at Parker, suddenly opened, and Parker was back in Doctor Strange's basement. Strange and Doc Ock were locked in a magical cell. Strange explained to Parker that a failed spell had accidentally opened the multiverse. Now, everyone who knows Spider-Man as Peter Parker has come to this universe. So, they need to catch all the stragglers and send them back to their own universes. After explaining, Strange took Parker's web shooter and magically upgraded it. If it hits someone, they'll be instantly transported to the magical cell. To quickly complete the capture mission, Parker enlisted Ned and MJ's help. Through constant searching, Ned found a military research facility. The city in chaos. Witnesses claimed to see a monster flying in the sky. Parker guessed it was the Green Goblin. Since his nanosuit was incomplete, Parker had to choose another suit for the capture. But his only intact suit was stained with paint that wouldn't come off. Reluctantly, Parker wore the suit inside out. With location set, Parker donned the new black and gold suit and arrived at the area. He soon sensed something moving quietly. While searching, the Green Goblin didn't appear, but a golden electric current flashed behind him. Parker went on alert, quickly turned around, and saw an unknown creature above. He used Strange's magic to catch the second Spider-Man's old friend. Electro, after absorbing electricity, unleashed a barrage at Parker. Parker dodged frantically but was eventually hit and fell from the sky. Before he could react, another wave of high voltage struck. In the nick of time, a massive sand creature shielded Parker. As expected, Sandman, who also crossed over, mistook the third Spider-Man for the first. In Spider-Man 3, Sandman and Spider-Man had reconciled, so he saved Parker. But Parker had no time to explain. He needed to deal with Electro first. Sandman, while taking the damage, turned into a tornado and executed Electro from below. Parker then used his web to connect all the cables. Using all his strength, Parker destroyed the surrounding electrical disaster. After cutting off the power source, Electro gradually returned to human form. Parker sent both back to the sanctuary. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Green Goblin regained his sanity. And now Clear Norman had no idea where he was. But the Goblin's voice echoed in his mind, telling him there's new world to conquer. In anger, he smashed the Goblin helmet to be normal again. Soon after, with nowhere to go, Norman found Aunt May. After regaining his senses, he realized this world was completely different. No Oscorp, his house occupied by others, and his beloved son missing. He hoped Spider-Man could help. Once confirmed Norman wasn't a threat, he brought him back to the sanctuary. Thus, the 5 villains were assembled. Through their conversation, Parker discovered that except for the Killer and the Lizard, the other 3 villains were all transported to this universe just before their deaths. Norman looked at the other 4 villains imprisoned in the dungeon and couldn't help but feel the wonder of world again. Then, the 5 villains began to share their experiences. It turned out that in their own universes, they would all die because of Spider-Man. After some conversation, Parker realized these people weren't inherently bad. They had their reasons for becoming villains. If they were sent back now, they might face tragic fates or even death again. At this moment, the doctor returned to the dungeon. Instantly locked Norman up too. He also brought back an ancient artifact, intending to seal the faulty spell and send the villains back to their universes. Parker thought sending them back now would be a death sentence. With a compassionate heart, Parker immediately spoke up to stop it. He felt it wasn't the right time to send them back. They should be helped too. And prevent tragedy from happening again. But the Doctor was a big-picture person. He told Parker that in the grand scheme of the multiverse, their sacrifice was more important than their lives. After saying this, the Doctor began casting the spell. But Parker made a shocking decision. That day, Spider-Man battled Doctor Strange to see who would prevail. Just as Parker steadied himself, he turned to see the Doctor behind him. As he was about to strike, his magic bracelet was instantly taken away. Then, he shot webs intending to escape. The Doctor quickly cast a spell to stop him, then released ropes to pull Parker back and gave him a soul punch. The Doctor intended to retrieve the box, but under the powerful spider sense, Parker's body could still move passively. While the Doctor grabbing the box, Parker took the opportunity to return to his body, then quickly flipped and escaped. The Doctor swung his cloak, following closely, but didn't get far before the cloak grabbed him again and tossed him out. To stop Parker from escaping again, the Doctor opened the mirror dimension with one hand. Under the Doctor's control, the buildings flipped, folded, and transformed unpredictably. Parker had no choice but to navigate through the ever-changing space. He barely made it out of the building, but the Doctor's magic shield followed closely behind. Parker was hit and crashed into an oncoming train. Just as the Doctor was about to grab the fallen box, Parker quickly snatched it away. Seeing Parker so troublesome, the Doctor waved his hand, instantly reversing the mirror dimension. Along the way, the Doctor emphasized the seriousness of the situation to Parker, warning that if the spell went wrong, who knows, Spider-Man would flood into this universe. But Parker still insisted on his view, hoping to change the fate of a few people. Seeing it was hard to persuade Parker, the Doctor stopped talking and cast a spell to flip the train car surrounding Parker, then sent him to Loki's infinite freedom. Dr. Lowe intended to use a rope to retrieve the box, but with too much force, he accidentally created the mirror dimension. Looking at the shattered mirror, Parker suddenly thought of a strategy. He shot webs in different directions, using the rotation of the stones to instantly tie up the Doctor. In this battle, the Doctor was completely defeated by math and geometry. Parker took the opportunity to grab the box, then removed the Doctor's amulet, and left through a portal. Back in reality, Parker handed the amulet. Ned then decided to help the villains break free from evil control and send them back. This way, they have a chance to escape death and become normal people again. They won't die fighting Spider-Man anymore. After hearing this, although skeptical, they realized they had no choice but to trust Parker given the situation. For safety, Parker gave the to MJ and Ned. If anything went wrong, MJ would press the switch on the box to send them back. Then Parker took everyone to Happy's place and opened the equipment Tony left behind. This device can analyze data and design or build anything, and the reactor inside. Electro Drool. With Norman's help, Parker quickly developed a chip to inhibit Dr. Octopus. In the original Spider-Man 2, Dr. Octopus's chip was already destroyed. Now it seems like Dr. Zhang Yu is controlling the tentacles, but in reality, the tentacles control the Doctor. Initially resistant, the Doctor regained self-awareness after putting on the chip, and the noise in his head disappeared. And finally, I can control the octopus tentacles on my own. At this moment, the Doctor laughed like a child. Feeling good, he returned Parker's nanosuit. He was grateful to the young man in front of him, so he was willing to help Parker unconditionally. With this success, Parker quickly helped Electro create a device to extract electricity. Once the electricity is drained, he returned to being an ordinary person. Meanwhile, Norman was also making a serum to eliminate the Green Goblin. However, just as Parker was making a device for the next person, his spider sense kicked in again. After examining each villain around him, Parker closed his eyes and made an accurate judgment. It turned out the Green Goblin persona had taken over Norman's body again. He only wanted to stay in the current universe but also brainwash the other villains. Thus, the already wavering Electro went completely berserk. Then, he ripped off the electricity extraction device. Without a second glance, he took the serum meant to cure the Green Goblin. Subsequently, Electro stole the reactor. Dr. Octopus tried to stop him, but Electro instantly knocked him out. The already distrustful Lizard began to turn against Parker. Electro turned into electricity and, along with Lizard Storm, escaped the apartment. The Shocker, hiding in a car, also left immediately. Parker and the Green Goblin engaged in a fierce battle. But unexpectedly, the young and strong Parker couldn't defeat the Goblin. Facing Parker's attacks, the Green Goblin was unusually excited. Just a few moves, Parker was slammed down from the 8th floor by the Goblin's deadly throw. Seeing Parker in danger, May rushed up with the serum and injected it into the Goblin. Unexpectedly, the serum had no effect. The cunning Goblin used Parker to distract May, then launched a sneak attack. To completely shatter Parker's mental defenses, the Goblin threw a pumpkin at May. This must be the most heartbreaking moment for Spider-Man, as his act of kindness led to May, who was like a mother to him, dying in front of him. May's death was like a landslide for Parker. The news reported that Spider-Man was the cause of everything, making Parker start to doubt himself. If he had followed the doctor's advice from start, maybe May wouldn't have sacrificed herself. At this moment, he couldn't forgive himself. Meanwhile, Ned and MJ also learned everything from the news. As his best friends, they understood how Parker felt. But since they couldn't reach him, they couldn't even offer basic comfort. To find Parker, Ned tried to draw a circle like the doctor. Unexpectedly, a portal appeared. It seems Ned indeed has a talent for magic. The one who walked in was the second Amazing Spider-Man. After hearing the second one's explanation, the two gradually realized he, like the villains, had also traveled through time. Yet, even so, they stayed cautious. With no other choice, the second had to prove he was Spider-Man through actions. Afterward, they relaxed their guard. To find this timeline's Parker, Ned opened the portal again using magic. This time, the first Spider-Man walked through. The two Spider-Men met and exchanged words. Clearly, the first one's reaction was better. Since arriving, both Spider-Men sensed the current Parker needed their help, but the third was nowhere to be found. For all Spider-Men, there's a place with special meaning, like the first one's Chrysler Building and the second's Empire State Building. With the Spider-Men's hints, MJ thought of a place Parker often visited. Soon, Ned and MJ found a sad Parker on the school rooftop. At this moment, they were Parker's only family. Then, the previous two Spider-Men appeared before the third. Finally, the three Spider-Men met. Though from different universes, all three had similar experiences. The two older brothers understood the third's feelings, and every time Gwen was mentioned, the second teared up. They didn't want the third to lose his mind to hatred like they did, because their loved ones died before their eyes, leaving them unable to forgive themselves. But no matter what, they must pull together because this world needs Spider-Man. From the moment they became Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. This is the mission all three Spider-Men bear. In the end, with the seniors' guidance, the third regained confidence. Then, they went to the school's lab, where the Spider-Men prepared to cure the villains. The first was in charge of the Green Goblin's antidote, the second handled the lizard serum, and the third took care of the rest. During this time, Ned asked the first if he had a best friend. The first said he did, and even wanted to kill him, but his friend died in his arms. After hearing this, Ned felt a bad future was coming. Soon, the three used their genius to develop all the cures. At this moment, the first saw the web cartridges in the third's hand and curiously showed a move. Indeed, the first is always the best. Everyone was curious about the first's web shooting, but now wasn't the time to study it. Next, they needed to lure the villains to a safe place, cure them, and use the magic box to send them back. Later, the third generation publicly announced his location through the Horn Daily. They decided to have the final showdown with all the villains at the Statue of Liberty. Then, the three hid the antidote in different places. Then they started warming up for the battle. Fans familiar with the story know how the first generation hurt his back. Seeing this, the second generation enthusiastically helped the first generation with his back. Along the way, they shared stories of the craziest villains they fought. The first generation said he fought a black gooey alien. The third generation fought a purple alien. In comparison, the second generation felt he was quick-tempered, having only fought a Russian in a giant rhino mech. At that moment, the three strong spider senses activated simultaneously. The sky turned dark, and the next second, Electro descended surrounded by lightning. With Iron Man's reactor, Electro's power instantly increased. He demanded the third generation hand over the magic box, saying destroying it would trap the villains in this universe forever. The third generation quickly grabbed the box and ran. The two seniors also put on their masks and got ready for battle. Seeing an old friend, the second generation greeted him to draw his attention. The third generation took the opportunity to toss the box to MJ. But when Ned tried to close the portal, he couldn't. Meanwhile, the lizard approached through the water. The second generation was still trying to persuade Electro, but he wouldn't listen. The first generation had also fought the lizard before. Just as the third generation was about to help, Sandman arrived. He grabbed the third generation from behind. Due to the first and second generation's lack of team experience, their fight was chaotic. Fortunately, the third generation, having been in the Avengers, led them to realize that only by working together could they defeat the villains one by one. The third generation told them to focus and use their spider senses. For easier communication, they agreed to call each other Peter 1, 2, and 3. The three set off again. Next, the highlight of the three's intense battle arrived. At this point, all the villains except the Green Goblin had gathered. The two sides immediately clashed. The three communicated via earpiece and decided to deal with Sandman first. The first generation lured Sandman into the alley. The second generation, following instructions, tossed Sandman's antidote to the third generation. but just as he caught it, Electro knocked it out of his hand. Meanwhile, the first generation kept dodging Sandman's attacks. He finally lured Sandman to the designated spot but was still waiting for the antidote. Seeing the first generation about to be consumed by Sandman, the second generation quickly trapped him with webs. Then he picked up the antidote, shot a web, and performed a reverse slingshot. In midair, the second generation tossed the antidote to the third generation. The third generation took advantage of the momentum and threw it to the first generation. Killing was settled. With the reactor's support, Electro's power was incredibly strong. Just remove the reactor from his chest, and it's easy to solve. Under the third generation's command, they attacked together to remove the reactor. But they couldn't get close at all. The second generation was treated specially. At this moment, 7 billion people were out of control. Then, he noticed above the portal, D was still trying to close it. The next second, the lizard man rushed in, intending to snatch the magic box. The third generation followed closely, engaging the opponent. MJ and Ned teamed up to escape outside the portal. And the antidote in the second generation's hand fell to the ground. The first generation picked up the antidote, ready to help. But on the way, Dr. Octopus caught him. Electro thought Octopus was there to help, but he played a trick. He yanked off the reactor, then picked up the power-absorbing device and attached it to his chest. Finally, the troublesome Electro was dealt with. The remaining lizard man was much easier. In a hurry, Ned drew a portal to the seabed, and the lizard man was instantly washed away by the seawater. MJ got the antidote and threw it to the third generation. Unexpectedly, the lizard man bit it, and the green antidote sprayed out. The lizard man gradually turned back into Dr. Connors. At this time, only the Green Goblin was left unsolved. To be safe, Ned opened the portal again, intending to hide the box. But accidentally released the doctor trapped in the mirror dimension. He seized the opportunity to take back the mystical box. Ned told the doctor that Parker's treatment plan worked, which shocked the doctor. Spider-Men from different universes also reconciled with the villains. Seeing the 3 Spider-Men, the doctor felt a headache. Octopus and Strange successfully retrieved the magic box. At this moment, the Green Goblin's tail broke free, and the trio was horrified to find a pumpkin bomb inside the box, and MJ accidentally fell from a high altitude. The third generation rushed to rescue, but was stopped by the flying Green Goblin. At the critical moment, the second generation reenacted Gwen's death scene. This time, he succeeded. Seeing the frightened MJ, the second generation choked up and shed tears. At this moment, he wished he was holding his beloved Gwen. Meanwhile, the spell's destruction reopened the multiverse's rifts. The doctor immediately cast a spell to repair the surrounding rifts. Elsewhere, the third generation used a grenade to destroy the Green Goblin's glider. The two fell onto Captain America's shield, seeking revenge for America. The third generation vented all his pain on the Green Goblin. Soon, the Green Goblin was beaten by Parker until he lost his ability to fight. He desperately used his fists to unleash his inner rage. Finally, he lifted the Green Goblin's glider, intending to end it. At this moment, the first generation rushed in and stopped him just in time. After a brief exchange of glances, the third generation gradually regained his senses. But the Green Goblin suddenly ambushed the first generation from behind. Listening to the Green Goblin's taunts, this time, he didn't act impulsively. He caught the antidote thrown by the second generation and immediately injected it into the Green Goblin. With the antidote injected, Norman's evil persona was completely expelled. But the situation with the rift was overwhelming, and Doctor Strange was struggling. Parker knew all of this started because of him. To prevent chaos in the universe, he decided to make a sacrifice. After hearing this, the Doctor, though reluctant, had no choice given the circumstances. Then, the third generation bid farewell to the two predecessors, Ned and MJ. Immediately after, Parker left with tears, and the Doctor successfully cast the spell, sending everyone back to their respective places. The multiverse disaster was finally resolved. When the dawn's sun rose, everyone on Earth forgot about Peter Parker. Later, Parker found Ned and MJ again, but they no longer remembered who he was. Seeing both of them accepted into MIT, Parker felt happy for them. Parker wanted to explain everything, but when he saw the wound on MJ's forehead, he stopped himself. Perhaps for him, not knowing each other might be the best protection. Then, Parker went to May's grave, offering a flower in remembrance. Coincidentally, Happy also came to visit May. He too forgot who Parker was, but at May's grave, they met again. Finally, Parker moved back to May's place. He made a new suit himself, then listened to the police radio, swinging through the snow. He became the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man again. At the end of the film, besides the 5 villains, another person was sent to this universe. It was Eddie Brock, the host of Venom. Although he was eventually sent back to his original universe, he left behind a drop of venom before leaving.